I mentioned yesterday that a bill had passed through both houses of Parliament which says that children under the age of 16 are not allowed to be on social media. They are, it appears, allowed to be on WhatsApp and YouTube, but not TikTok and Snapchat and those kinds of things. The way it's going to be enforced, that is unclear. Parents whose children circumvent the rules will not be punished. Children who circumvent the rules will not be punished. The social media companies who display a serial attitude of not caring about this will be punished and will be fined potentially very, very heavily. So it looks, without having read the bill in its entirety, and I have read a lot of comment out of Australian media on it, it seems to me that it is making a statement, but not a heck of a lot more than that. But Emma Sadler is much better placed to comment than I am. What do you think of it, Emma? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Well, the champagne is in the fridge, I can tell you, because I'm delighted about this. And I appreciate that it's a tricky thing to talk about when there are so many unknowns. We don't know exactly how we are expecting these companies to age gate their websites. We're not exactly sure how that age gating will happen. Will it be with a government issued photo ID book, or will
but we know we know
know
that's not the case. We know that as a result of pressure from Australia's more conservative political parties, government issued identification will not be used for age verification.
They say so. But then what will they use? You know, is it going to be like when I try and click onto an adult website and I get up, or try and buy alcohol online and I get a little box that says, "Are you over the age of 18?" Is that enough? I don't believe that's enough. So I think it's certainly to be applauded because it's a step in the right direction. And if nothing else, if it forces people just to take a moment and think, well, how come the age of internet adulthood was set to 13? You know, why was that? And should 13 be the number? Should 16 be the number? Should younger? Should older be the number? And the same is not true for every child. So I think that, you know, we've had in our heads that at 13 suddenly a magic wand is waved and these children are old enough to jump onto the internet. But that number was set fairly randomly by a piece of legislation in America. It's to do with online privacy rights of children in 1998. And it basically said, you know, under the age of 13, children shouldn't be online. Over the age of 13, no problem. But I think it's just this idea that at 13, something magical happens. And I think what we're seeing is so much research about what harm can happen to children in the age range 13 to 16. I certainly see it in my practice, where the worst content I'm getting is from the 10 to 14-year-olds, where these kids are online from very young. I'm finding that kids get much smarter, they get nicer, they get kinder, they get more responsible as they get a bit older. And I think that if nothing else, if it forces people around the world to just sit up and be like, well, why is this a big question? Why is this happening? And how old should my child be before they go online?
There is also no option for parents to give their under 16s permission to use some or all or just one of the social media platforms from which they are now being banned. Would you like to see that level of, parents saying, I trust my 14-year-old. Dolly is very mature for her age, so let her go on to Snapchat, please.
Yeah, I think that's been a criticism. Another criticism is that it undermines parents' authority to make decisions for their own children. But we're not saying never. We're saying delay it, right? And I think that a lot of parents, and just about, overwhelmingly, all the parents I've spoken to are delighted about this because, and we've discussed this before, John, the extent of the role that peer pressure plays in these kids getting onto platforms much younger than they should be. So I hear that criticism. I hear various criticisms. I hear criticisms about how, it's going to drive children into the darker sides of the web, where it's more unregulated. But I just think that if we just go back to simple basics here, we know that social media is an addictive substance. Addictive substances should be regulated. They should be age gated. Of course, age gating is not a perfect science. There is going to be some trial and error. There's going to be a year for implementation. It's going to take a while for us to work out what does this look like and how best are they going to do it. And even when those laws are in place, in South Africa, we're not supposed to drink until we're 18. We know that there is a lot of underage drinking that happens. We're not saying that this is a blanket, that this is going to be a foolproof exercise. But what I think we are saying is, let's just wake up about just how dangerous these platforms are. As I was starting to say, it is an addictive substance. All addictive substances are regulated. Let's start by thinking, what should the age be when we allow these children access to these addictive substances? So I quite like thinking of it in those very basic terms. They've carved out exemptions for health and education services. They've said that YouTube won't be restricted, Messenger Kids, Google Classroom, WhatsApp. Now, that's an interesting one, because is WhatsApp a social media platform? In my head, WhatsApp is a social media platform, and I fight with academics around the world on this because they tell me that it isn't. But I can share pictures on my profile, I can share a status, people can respond. I know a lot of 9, 10, 11-year-old kids who are on WhatsApp groups with over 1,000 people on them. For me, that is social media. So I understand, and I really hear all the criticisms of this is going to be ineffective and this is a joke, and what about the privacy concerns, and how are they possibly going to keep all that information private? It's going to be a honeypot for cyber attackers if you are going to start keeping all the bio data or other identification of children. But I just think it's got to be a step in the right direction, and I really applaud Australia for being the world leaders on this.
Steps in the right direction must be applauded, as Emma Sadler has done. She said the champagne is in the fridge. I guess it'll be taken out and the cork will be popped fairly soon. Social media lawyer Emma Sadler, thank you very much for talking to us this afternoon.